This is Anigozanthos orange cross, and this video is going to cover different hybrids of the Anigozanthos family, or Kangaroo Paw. These are Australian natives, and this plant's been in cultivation for a few decades now, but there are many hybrids. The plant itself is known mostly for its bright flowers that you see here. Generally come in orange, red, yellow, and some pink cultivars. And there are very large ones approaching 6 to 8 feet in the flowering, and some as short as 6 to 10 inches. So big variety in how this is grown. What you're looking at here are the leaves. These plants can be prone to ink spot disease, and but most of the newer varieties are resistant to that, or get it so little that it's not a significant concern. So this is a good close-up of the flower, and just how spectacular they are. They're velvety, soft flowers that open up at the end, and hummingbirds really like these. Um, and here you see a group planting of a yellow variety. It's got some red and orange ones in there as well. And just a good way to kind of see how the different varieties read, and some of the different sizing that you see as well. So Kangaroo Paw is a very long blooming plant. It blooms starting in spring and can go all the way into the fall depending on where you're at. Notice the red stems along with these yellow flowers. Really beautiful. Um, but they bloom over a long period. The photos you're seeing here, or film, is taken in San Luis Obispo, Central California in early August in 2012. And there's a good look at the plant. So they have these nice evergreen strappy leaves. And this is a nice one used in a pot just as a strong accent. And here's a dwarf variety with orange-red flowers. We're going to show you a few varieties, and you'll see the names, if we know what the names are, listed in front of the plant. So just want to cover using them in design. They are drought tolerant, and but also can take some moisture, and probably look a little better with some regular moisture. Um, and I think they're a really good companion plant with a lot of the Australian, California, and South African type plants that you hear about. So salvias and some of the others that we'll follow up with here. But I guess the biggest limitation, unfortunately, is that they're not very cold hardy. Most of the varieties are cold hardy to the mid 20s Fahrenheit, plus or minus. So depending on the variety, some you'll see say they tolerate down to the low 20s, but I live in an inland valley. We get in the mid 20s on a regular basis during the winter, probably a week to 2 weeks out of each winter, and we get very hot during the summer in the 90s and the hundreds Fahrenheit. And I've got a neighbor who's had his in for 4 to 5 years, and probably 80% of his are still living and doing all right. I've grown them myself and not had great luck with them. So we're right on the cusp of where these are comfortable in terms of the hardiness range. And I would say that the literature out there that says they're hardy down to the mid 20s is pretty accurate. We have heavier clay soil, and his tend to do fine with that. I would just say that better drainage would probably be preferred for these. But where I've seen them do their best is in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo in Central California, near the coast, without having winters that really have much frost, if any. And plants just do great down there. You can see these are about 5 feet tall flowers, and the foliage is about 20 to 24 inches tall and wide. And you're really going to need to look at the different varieties and what the literature is on them by the grower before you decide what varieties work for what you're thinking to do with them. So I like using the taller varieties as background planting, and then put something in front of them. This planting you see here at a hotel, for me, it could use some extra depth just in terms of plant composition. They've just thrown in a whole bunch of these, but I'd like to see that yellow color with something more interesting in front of it to set it off in a more interesting way. So that's what I can tell you about Kangaroo Paw. They are deer resistant, they're drought resistant. I talked about the hardiness. The maintenance on these is very simple. Essentially, those flower stems, you cut them down to the base as low as you can when they're all done blooming. They'll just start looking kind of faded brown. The color will go on them, and when they get to that point, that's when you cut them down to the base. And there are some varieties that if you cut them above the lowest bud node, they will branch and rebloom. So if you're looking at certain varieties, look into that. I don't know what the specifics are on all of those. And I think that's what I can tell you about Kangaroo Paw, the Anigozanthos hybrids. They're an amazing group of plants if you're fortunate enough to live in an area where they can survive your winters, and give you a lot of variety, especially in the warm color range side of things. So to follow are some nice companion plants that we've used with these. Enjoy.